Ahead of an impending decision by Malaysian Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob to dissolve Parliament, UMNO's top 5 leaders met to discuss the country's 15th general election. The meeting had initially been postponed earlier this month. This precedes the party's Supreme Council meeting happening this hour, where the date of the elections is expected to be finalised. A power may lie with Prime Minister Ismail Sabri to decide on the Parliament's dissolution. He has said he will accede to the wishes of UMNO's top 5 leaders. And Melissa Go speaks to us live from Kuala Lumpur. Melissa, tell us more about the meeting between UMNO's top 5 leaders.
Well, the top 5 party leaders, namely President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and his deputy Muhammad Hassan, and the 3 vice presidents, including Prime Minister Ismail Sabri, met for about an hour before the party political bureau meeting this afternoon. And it's said to have gone on well, according to a source within the party. A so-called consensus was achieved, he said, at the political bureau meeting that included all top 5 party leaders and the wing chiefs and the state leaders of UMNO, that they have reached the end of the line. The general election has to be held by the month of November, before the monsoon season begins. Now, the reason, they said primarily, the source said, is because of the worsening economic situation in the country next year, with the possibility of a global recession and so on, and further inflationary pressures. And the grassroots are getting restless. They are worried about the party's popularity on the ground if they continue to wait. Now, indeed, the window is closing. There's a sense of urgency that gripped UMNO today, because if the election is to be called by November, the parliament will have to be dissolved the latest in October, a week or 2 after the tabling of the budget. Now, Malaysia's national budget for 2023 is scheduled to be tabled on October 7th. Now, Prime Minister Ismail Sabri, who's just returned from New York after attending the United Nations General Assembly, is fast losing its political capital, the source said. And he has promised the party that it's ultimately, he's a party man. It's no longer just his discretion. It's up to the cabinet. It's up to the top 5, it's up to the party. Some are also expecting him to seek an audience with the king to seek dissolution of parliament as soon within weeks.
Melissa, yes, the UMNO Supreme Council also meeting tonight. In fact, we're about 15 minutes into their meeting, if they have started according to schedule. With this window closing that you mentioned, are we likely to be hearing definite news on the date for elections very soon?
Well, the Supreme Council, which is the highest decision-making body in the party, it's about 40 members strong. The source said the decision, or the so-called consensus by the political bureau and the top 5, are likely to be endorsed or adopted by the Supreme Council. But we'll have to see. It's just starting about in half an hour or so. It's been delayed. Now, it's going to be a long night, and we're seeing a flurry of activities here at the UMNO headquarters. The Supreme Council members are still arriving as we speak. Now, the Met Services Department has issued a statement saying that the inter-monsoon season is expected to start from Monday next week until the end of November, with winds and evening thunderstorms that could cause flash floods. Now, if that happens, it's going to be a problem, because a lot of the schools are going to use as polling centres, and there are also flood relief centres. So if that happens, it's going to be mayhem. And at the same time, that's the reason why the opposition leaders are saying that this is not the right time, when we're heading into a monsoon season, to have any form of election. Not only is costly, first of all, this election is going to cost the government about $200 million. It's costly, and money, which they said can be better used to help the flood victims, money that can be used to help the poor, especially in light of rising prices.
Thanks for that. Melissa Go speaking live to us there from Kuala Lumpur.